Hello everybody. Happy 4th of July, Independence Day. We wanted to do a patriotic concert this year for 4th of July. Something that we always enjoy, but we didn't get around to doing one in person. So I thought I would try to substitute this and hope that it's of value and a blessing to people. Just a very brief internet Independence Day program. A song followed by a reading. Hope you enjoy. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord. He is trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored. He hath loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword. His truth is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. I have seen him in the watchfires of 100 circling camps. They have builded him an altar in the evening dews and damps. I can read his righteous sentence by the dim and flaring lamps. His day is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never sound retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Our God is marching on. In the beauty of the lilies, Christ was born across the sea, with a glory in his bosom that transfigures you and me. As he died to make men holy, let us live to make men free. Our God is marching on. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. Everybody sing along. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on. His truth is marching on. And now for the Gettysburg Address, which doesn't get memorized much anymore. I never memorized it. And now as I read it, I'm just so impressed. It's so powerful. Abraham Lincoln read these notes that he had written while he was suffering what might have been the onset of a case of smallpox. He was feeling fluish, terrible. November 18th, 1863, at the dedication of the Gettysburg Memorial to memorialize those who had fought and died at that Pennsylvania battleground months earlier. He was not the featured speaker that day. The featured speaker, in the tradition of that time, was a well-known orator by the name of Edward Everett. He was the big deal on the speaking circuit, and he spoke for 2 hours that day, very eloquently, before the president, who'd been asked to come and make a few appropriate remarks to dedicate this memorial, had his part in the program. So the president, Abe Lincoln, had to sit on that platform feeling terrible in the sun for hours before he got up and made what he thought would be a simple, ceremonial, perfunctory kind of presidential duty. And yet his words just knock it out of the park. Looking at our nation, not as just any nation, but as a grand experiment, something unique in all the world and in all of history, a nation conceived by an idea, dedicated to an idea, not a nationality, not an ethnic group, not a tribe, not a religion, but to an idea. And very briefly, in under 2 minutes, he poses the question and the challenge, asserting the very real possibility that this experiment might fail. There is no guarantee that liberty will continue. The Gettysburg Address. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now, we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it cannot forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us. That from these honored dead, we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that those dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom. And that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. May God bless you. May God bless America. Happy 4th of July.